In this video, I will show you how to make a rose from a piece of fabric that is 120 long by 14 centimeters. So you fold it like this, and then you put this margin, you sew it all the way, but it will not be straight, it will be with little folds. So you will see immediately how I will sew it. So I started like this, a little bit not straight but across, and I'll start to sew on the margin. That's it. I take this one out and I start to sew. And it's all the time it will be a little bit like twisted, but this is the idea, to be able to make the rose. So slowly by slowly we go to the end of this. Not every fabric will drape beautifully, so it's important to have like silk or satin or something that is good for draping. That's it. And now I'll go with the parallel stitch because I want to gather it. So I just go under this stitch with a parallel row of stitching, and then we will gather and roll it and make a flower out of it. And now you have to start to gather the two things, the two lines of stitching that you did. You have to start to gather them from one end and from the other. It's always good to gather the bobbin thread. So how I know that is the bobbin thread? It's very easy. You look here and you can see that the thread is just a little bit attached, you see? So this is the right thread and this is the right thread also. Okay, and then you go and you pinch it both together, yeah, and you start to gather. Okay, so from this side I gathered enough. I think I'll continue from this side a little bit further, and we have to meet in the middle. And now, when I'm happy that I gather it enough and I spread it more or less equal, yeah, everywhere, I'll start to make the flower. And we have to sew it. And now you turn it to have all the clean sides, and the one that it's with the threads, it will stay down there, and we start to roll it until we make a lovely rose. And I will start to sew it by hand, because we have to sew it to keep it together. Okay, and then I continue to roll it. And sew it at the same time. Roll a bit, sew a bit. Concentrate to sew all these parts to stay here together, yeah? And at the end, I think I will put a piece of this fabric to cover these raw edges, because you can't leave the raw edges like this. And continue the process until you finish the rose, and then I'll show it to you. And now I pin at the end with some pins, a little bit bigger the round, you know, to make the rose a bit bigger, and then I will finish and I will put a brooch to be able to pin it in your lapel or whatever you want to do with it. I think it's very pretty. So now I have to cut circular little pad, and then I will do the same with some fabric, the same fabric that I did for let me see, from this corner. I can put it here. It's always good to be pressed, but okay, but this one we have to cut it with seam allowance, yeah, because we need to sew it and put the little stiffener inside. So I will pin it and I will cut it around with a little bit of seam allowance. And then I go and sew it on this blue, turn it inside out, and put this. So I'll put it here like this, and I will sew the safety pin like this to be able to put it in your lapel or wherever you want. So now I go and I sew around a circular. And I leave a gap here to be able to turn it inside out. Okay. Now I have to turn it inside out. I think I will trim the seam allowance a little bit smaller. So we have to turn it inside out. and then I will go and I will press it with the iron, and I will put the stiffener inside. Now I put a little stiffener inside, and when I will press it, it will glue to the fabric, and I will make a base for the safety pin. Yeah, and then I turn this one in and turn this one in, go and sew it, and you'll see a little circle at the end. Now I close the gap that I left to be able to turn it. And I sew it around. We have a circle now, and we will sew on the bottom of the flower. So I will sew the little pin here. So I go like this, and I left the thread, you know, like a loop, and I sew as good as I can, and then we can sew it around. Okay. That's it. So these little beads around the flower. So I'll go on the margin here, and I'll start sewing it like this by hand. Now everything is finished. If you still have little threads like this, you can cut them, but we cover all the raw edges, and this is the lovely rose that you can put it around here like this. Let me open and now my rose is finished, and you can pin it on anything you want. Enjoy.